Be very truthful. Write down from the other side.
दाल चावल
Dal chawal.
पनीर सब्जी
Okay. Dal chawal.
दाल
Dal chawal. Paneer.
पनीर भुर्जी
Paneer burji. Okay.
उंदियू
Undiyu. Okay.
गाजर का हलवा
Gajar ka halwa.
शादी में गई थी सर इसी
Gajar ka halwa. Very good. Okay.
पापड़
Papad. Egg scramble. अब egg scramble बोला. Somebody said from here.
नहीं आइसक्रीम नहीं था
Ice cream नहीं था. Okay. What else?
आइसक्रीम नहीं
Gajar ka halwa was there at dessert. Okay. What else?
पूरी
Puri was there. So along with dal chawal, you had puri also. Okay, with some curry. What curry was it?
पनीर की करी और उंदियू
Paneer burji. Okay, paneer burji. Okay, what else? That's all. In the wedding, they'll have still a huge big menu. Tell them.
बस इतना ही
The kids were troubling you? No? Okay. Jata, please tell Pramod, what did you do yesterday? What were your activities?
Yesterday I was having a holiday.
Oh, excellent. That's very nice. So it's a holiday, okay? So what did you do yesterday on your holiday?
I was playing with my kids
Okay, playing with the kids for approximate time?
4 to 5 hours.
4 to 5 hours, very good.
Total.
4 to 5 hours. How big are the kids?
It's 1.5 year.
1 year?
1.5.
1.5 years. So you were actually on the bed. Next word, yeah.
Then we went out.
You went out, okay. Where did you go? Just maybe which are
Botanical garden.
okay, botanical garden they went yesterday. Very nice, good place. So what did you do there? With friends?
No, family.
With family, very good, yeah. So with family you were there for how long?
At least for 2 hours.
2 hours, very good. Okay, then
Then we went to a small cave where we ate.
small cab where we ate, okay. What was it? If I don't mind.
A simple ice cream.
Okay, ice cream.
For my kids. Then one burger.
One burger.
Just get one from there.
No, it must be more than that. That's it? Okay. One more volunteer. Selvi, come. She makes my favorite biryani, so. Okay, Selvi, tell me, for the past 1 month, no food, no activity, when did you sleep?
every time
When was that? Did Nandaj allow you to sleep by 8 o'clock?
only nights
By what time approximately?
12 o'clock
Around 12. On an average for the whole month? Average. Around 12, nearly around 12. Okay. One more person. Whom should we ask? Vikram sir. When did you sleep last whole week? Approximately. 11:30. Right on 11:30. Okay, we'll take a sample of 5. 11:30, 12. That last girl there, green t-shirt. Yeah. Tell me, when do you sleep? Approximate time. 2 o'clock. I'm not asking about night duty. 12, around 12. Narkati. 12 approximately. Okay. Monica, come. 10 o'clock. Very good, excellent. 10 o'clock. Somebody running. Tell me. What time do you get up in the morning? When there's no duty, okay? When there's no duty. 11 a.m. No, it's good. So getting up time is 11 a.m. Okay? Jata, what time do you get up when there's no duty? Usually. Mostly awake in the night? Oh my, okay. Dimple, अगर बच्चा सोने देता है कितना बजे उठता है रोज?
नहीं
10 बजे।
6:30 अगर स्कूल में
छुट्टी है, छुट्टी है।
कौन सा बजे?
9 o'clock like that. Okay, good. Okay, why am I asking all this questions? Come, thank you all. Many of us, when we are in our day-to-day, daily paced work that we are in, all of us, we all tend to do what? We tend to overdo our things, right? Overdo our things. How many of us stayed in a hostel? Oh, that's a big number. Excellent. So tell me, what about your hostel timings? Morning 5:30, right? We get up in the morning at 5:30. Then we end the day at what time? 9:30 like that, right? So we start the day at 5:30. We end the day at 9:30. I was also in the hostel, almost following the same pattern for more than 17 years. I was there in the hostel since I was in my first standing. So my day started at 5 o'clock rather, and used to curse the monitor who used to come and wake us up in the morning, right? That bell is very irritating. And then what do? We finish all our activities. What time is our breakfast? Can somebody tell me what time is our breakfast? 6:37. It varies from hostel to hostel. So around 6:30 to 7. And then what time do we sleep? By 9:30, right? So how long have we done this? Most of us, how many years we stayed in the hostel? 5 years? How many of you? Okay, 10 years? Very few. I thought I'll find more of 10 years. More than 10 years in the hostel? Ravindra sir is more than 10 years in the hostel. More than 15 years in the hostel? Some of us, means like you went to a nursing school, maybe in Newsweed or Ranchi, wherever it was. So that all counts into that. So on an average, we have people who stayed for 7 years in the hostel, right? On an average, if we talk about. So 7 years, we were there in the hostel, taking care of the routine that was there from 5:30. I think 80% I found, you all raised your hand, stayed in the hostel. We all got up at 5:30. We all went to sleep at 9:30. What has changed after that? What has changed? What has changed? No, why are you sleeping at 12? Okay? Why are you getting up at 8, 11 on a holiday? I'm talking about. What has changed actually? Is anything changed? How many of you are not married? Can you see your hands? Not married. So we have some of you think you're married. Raise your hands all. You're doubtful. So quite a few are there who are not married. So that means what? Your life in the hostel and even now is almost the same except for the duty hours. Am I right? Except duty hours. But if I talk about Selvi, she was there with certain amount of responsibilities for family. Jata, certain responsibilities from the child demanding. So that's a different issue altogether. But if you sit and contemplate and think, are we doing things right? Are we doing things right? Are we doing things right by sleeping at 11 o'clock? And if I ask the timing of dinner, I'm sure many of us will tell the timing of dinner is at what time? Some of us who are coming from a city environment, we have midnight restaurants, right? Midnight buffets. And we have got huge number of people who actually, they actually eat towards night. Sometimes my daughter calls me and says, I want pizza. Monica? Pizza, and then he brings at 10:30, 11 o'clock, right? Sometimes they might disturb Pegu like that. So at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we are having our dinner. So what has gone wrong for all of us? Now, if you look at, may not be in this generation, but if you look at the next generation, the statistics show and say there are going to be more of chronic lifestyle disease in the coming years. Right? When we were small children, when our parents were quite young, they had disease called as communicable disease. What are those? Those are communicable disease. That means a disease that can be given to the other person easily. They were mostly communicable disease. They were acute illness basically. What is it called? It's called acute illness. And when it comes to today, we find right now at this age, at this generation, it's no more communicable disease, but what are those mainly now? Here, chronic disease. What are those? Chronic disease. Chronic disease, something which is there today, it will be there for the next 30 years or next 10 years. Something that is long term. That same problem will be there for a long term. What has changed? Exactly what lifestyle has changed for you and for me is also changing for all of us. Now, where are the hormones regulated? Any hormones here? Okay. Physiotherapy, anybody? Naveen, where are the Sudha? Where are the hormones? Yes, pituitary? Excellent, wonderful. So pituitary gland is responsible for all the hormones. Do we need hormones? Okay, let's write down some hormones. Where's Pramod? Come. Some hormones. So if you look at writing the names of hormones, we'll find all the hormones. Do we need hormones? All of us are from the medical background. Majority of us, hormones are required for all of us. Right? Absolutely full requirement of hormones. Tell me one of the most important hormone that is made in the night. Hmm? Who said that? Chocolate for it. Who? Naveen. Let's give him a big hand. Get stand up. So what is the biggest? Please stand. Let's give a big hand for Naveen. What's the biggest hormone developed in the night? It is melatonin, right? And in what way is melatonin important is what is studied today. Okay? And what are the hormones in the daytime? Tell me. Insulin is produced for what reason? Is it required for digestion? Huh? What is diabetes? Diabetes means the simple mechanism of what is diabetes exactly. Diabetes is basically nothing but there is excess sugar in the blood. All of us agree. We take a glucometer, we test, we see there's a lot of sugar. Why is the sugar there? Because why? Why is the sugar there? You ate food, it got converted to sugar. Now what happened to that sugar? It has to be carried to the cells, right? And that is the duty of insulin. Oxygen has to be carried by whom? Oxygen has to be carried by whom in the blood? By the hemoglobin. It carries the oxygen from one place to the other place. It goes to the membrane, which actually has an osmosis ultimately in the lungs. Now, same way, remember about insulin. It is carrying your sugar to the cells. And now when we reach the cell, and the cell is saying, I am very hungry, what does it do? It takes the sugar. Because every cell requires energy, right? It has got a mitochondria, there is a DNA, there's a lot of other things. Then every cell in our body requires energy. Right? All of us agree on this? So when this goes and it's like the mother feeding the child. The blood is giving food to the cells. And insulin is helping us in that process. Right? Now when the child is fully satiated, right? What does the child do? Jata, where is Jata? 1.5 years. You feed the child, right? So what does the child do? Child eats for some time. After some time, the child stops eating, right? So what does the child do that time? Child rejects. You keep the spoon, rejects. Again, you keep feeding, then the child cries. What is the child trying to tell you? It is saying, I am full. Right? So ancestors who were there, come, you can sit here from. The ancestors who are there in the past, if you have listened to my sermon last week, you will know, they were actually eating on what? They were trying to go and do hunting. And when they were doing hunting, they started in the morning, went till evening, because only in the daytime they can see things. There was no light that time, right? And then they were actually trying to hunt and they're trying to eat. And if at all they had fire, it was only for burning that meat that they have caught. And at every time they went 30 times for hunting, they could be successful only once. That's what research tells us from the old records. Now, what did they do during the other time? They ate the tubers, they ate the leaves, they ate the fruits, they ate the vegetables, maybe cooked, maybe not cooked, whatever it was. And that's how they actually had their food. Now, towards the night, what they did? They went to sleep because they can't do much. They are not like nocturnal animals, right? Nocturnal animals, when they start moving in the night, what do? They can see in the dark. All of us are aware, right? All the nocturnal animals who are active in the night, they can see in the dark like Selvi. Kalapakshi sleeps, right? So what happens? All those animals, they are trying to go get their food at that point of time. If you really want to find out and see why the animal is going out in the night, it's actually going for getting its food. But for man, he's satisfied. His food is sufficient for the day. He's sleeping now in the night, and he's no more going in search of food. So what happened to our body through the years? Our body started thinking, sometimes they got fruits, sometimes they didn't get the fruits. Sometimes they got the tubers, sometimes they didn't get the tubers. So their diet was very, very little. So when they had some good food, they ate well, and the sugar kept there in the body. And the Lord, in His own creative mind, made such a great mechanism. In case there is some amount of extra sugar that you have eaten, it is going to be stored where? Fantastic. Who said that? Sure, and Rani, excellent. Please stand. Let's give her a big hand. Where is the extra sugar stored? It is stored in the liver. And then now what happens to the sugar? The sugar is in the blood, right? The insulin took it to the blood cells. The blood cell said, I am not hungry now, I don't want any more. So what does the body do? It wants to use this same energy in the future. So what do they want to do? The body stores the sugar. Now you eat glucose, or you eat chicken, or you eat a burger, or you eat an ice cream, or you eat prawns, or whatever the food is. Every single food that you eat has to convert into what? Sugar. You might think only what I eat, rice, starch, carbohydrate is only sugar. It's not true. Krebs cycle, right? All of us know Krebs cycle. So when we go back and see, every single food that we're eating is converting into what? Into sugar, into energy. All of us have seen the Krebs cycle. And what's happening to the sugar there? It is being used by the cells. Now, when you started eating this eating this food, it gets converted into sugar. And then what happens? That excess sugar, which the cell says, I don't want any more, what does it do? It actually stores in the liver. What happens in the liver that time now? Slowly today there is a deposition of fat, or rather the sugar gets converted in the form of fat and gets deposited into the liver. Now tomorrow I want some of you to go to Dr. Himanshu and talk to him. I talked to him many times. 90% of people who are doing sonography, if you have done sonography, you will have a fatty liver. Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Who has a fatty liver usually? In the past, it is somebody who's got a cirrhosis of liver because of alcohol or a drug abuse. They are the ones who used to have fatty liver, cirrhosis of the liver. Now tell me, how many of you cleaned your kitchen 10 days back or a month back? How many of you cleaned your kitchen? What do you use? You use a sponge, right? A sponge. What do you use the sponge for? To swab that whole thing and make it clean. Am I right? So if the sponge is dirty, will you use it for cleaning? You won't use it for cleaning, right? What do? You go back, clean that sponge, make it clean, and then start using it. But if you have a liver which is with that kind of a fat, and the liver is supposed to be a cleansing organ in the body, am I right? All of us know this. The liver is supposed to be a cleansing organ in the body. There is a first pass metabolism, there is a second pass metabolism. When you take a medicine, it goes into the kidneys, it goes into the liver. So every medicine that you're taking is passing by this. You need to have treatment that has to be effective. At the same time, you are clogging. It's like our liver is like a complete highway. Let's imagine the city of Surat. So many roads, right? So many roads. Whatever is the waste that is there has to be brought out by our Envision company. Comes to this hospital, that hospital, this hospital, and some of us staying outside in some houses. The municipality will come, take all the trash and go off. Am I right? That's exactly what liver is doing all this while. But now what happened to those roads? Those roads have all become totally clogged. What has become? Those roads have become clogged. There is a traffic jam there totally. Why is a traffic jam? Because that extra sugar that you were having has become what? It has become fat and it has blocked the path. And now there is no way the dirt can be moved out. So what is happening? It's getting accumulated, and ultimately what's happening? It's becoming a fat lump of liver. If you really see it, you don't even want to have it in your stomach. I'm talking about under the microscope, you can see that. So take a piece of that liver, sit with Yaba sir and tell, sir, have a look at this liver. You will think, I don't want to have this organ in my body at all. Because it is that bad, dirty, and absolutely clogged. And what is the liver supposed to do? What is the kidney supposed to do? It's supposed to filter blood in the kidney, and then every single part of the dirt that is there in the body, you look at the pancreas, look at the cholecystitis, what we talk about, cholecystectomy, right? All of those things. All the dirt, the gallbladder, all those things, they help in relieving the dirt from our body. Now what is happening? When you start having diet, when you start eating food, and then if you start having that excess calories that you are taking in, what is happening to the ultimately? It is going and covering the liver, it is going and covering the kidney, it's going and covering the arteries, it's going and covering the heart. Am I right? At the end, it starts coming onto your stomach. What is it? Where is it ultimately coming to? After covering all those places, then it comes to what? You start developing a paunch. You start developing a stomach. Now, what is happening with that? If there is a little bit of stomach, that means there is that little bit of fat around your kidney, around your heart for sure, around your liver for sure, and every organ. You don't have to go for a sonography and waste money, right? So we have to remember this, that when we eat something, that same thing is actually coming as a problem and a malady for us. Am I right? We are just simply eating. I have to eat my food, I ate. But what is happening to all that energy? That is actually going in the form of those huge big calories which are there, and that is causing the whole problem. And then we start thinking, why am I putting on weight? Why am I having this problem, that problem, and all the other issues? Ultimately, it becomes a big challenge. So, all of you in the ward, those who are not in the ward, go to the ward and measure your circumference of your, not the waist, but at the umbilicus. What is that? Go back and check the umbilicus, and if it is more than 90 centimeters, how many centimeters? If it is more than 90 centimeters, that means you are overweight. How many centimeters? If it is more than 90 centimeters for a male person, you are overweight. Unfortunately, it is a lesser number for women. If it is more than 80 centimeters, you are overweight. If you are 90 centimeters, if you are a woman, then you are obese. And if you are a male person, if you are 100 centimeters, you are obese. Now, when the heart is surrounded with the fat that is there, what we are all taking, right? So what is happening with that fat? That fat is slowly coming into the blood vessels, right? That's how we have heart attack. Priyanka, what happens in the angioplasty that we are doing here? There is a vessel. Go back and see at the entrance of the emergency. We kept a new poster there. The vessel which was this thick or this wide open slowly starts shrinking. What happens to that? That starts causing problem because there is a fat deposition on the blood vessels. It's a big problem, right? So what do we do to reduce fat? We understood the problem, all of us now? All of us understood the problem. Now let's understand the mechanism behind before going to what to do about it. The insulin, if you see, raises with the sunrise. What is that insulin does? What insulin doing? The insulin raises with sunrise, and the insulin stops being produced at sunset. Yeah, I told this in my sermon, right? The insulin rises in the sunrise, and then when sun sets, insulin also starts setting. That is the way the body is made. That means what? The body is made to function in that manner. And that's why even the missionaries who opened the hostels in the past, and even what Ellen G. White told in the Health and Nutrition book, is to eat food before sunset. Right? And all of us had our food at 5:30, 5 o'clock. And we started eating at what time? 5:30, 6 o'clock or 6:30 maximum. That's the time the sunrise is there at many places. And then what do we do after that? We finish our dinner at what time? At 6 o'clock, 5:30. If it's Narsapur, I remember we used to have our dinner at 5:30. So what's the time? Can somebody count for me, please? From 7 o'clock to 6:30. What's the hours? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Around nearly 8 to 9 hours. If you really see, 8 to 9 hours is what we usually have. At least in Narsapur, I remember, it's only those 8 to 9 hours we were having our food. Out of how many hours? Out of how many hours? How many hours in a day? Out of 24 hours. That means each of us sat together as a people living in the hostel. We all ate food from what time? We ate food only for 8 hours. How many hours? And what happened to the other hours? No money to buy from the store, right? You had to, if you were sleeping by 9:30, you're lucky. But if you were awake, gossiping, talking this, talking to your friends, it was 11 o'clock, then you start feeling hungry, right? I remember I myself did some mischief in the hostel. We climbed out the hostel, went and plucked some coconuts, and we started eating them, right? Bad thing to do, but that's what we did when we were a child. And then we tried to somehow manage our hunger pangs. But how many hours we ate? How many hours we ate? How many hours? 8 hours. Did we eat at sunrise? Did we stop eating at sunset? We all did this, right? Now tell me, just sit and think in your mind, your classmates. How many of them were overweight in the hostel? Be very truthful. When we were in the hostel, think how many of our own classmates, juniors, seniors, the whole hostel, how many were fat? How many were having, maybe a stomach or maybe some amount of fat? Hardly. If you see, maybe 5% or 10%. Not more than that. Am I right? So what is a lesson I want to drive from each one of us? If you follow the mother nature, what God created, what will happen to you? You will benefit from the food that you're eating. So what happens after sunset you're eating, let's say. Let's talk about the mechanism. Insulin is sleeping, right? The moment you eat something, it triggers insulin actually, right? It triggers the insulin. Now you ate food, and then at 12 o'clock in the night, you ate food, and then you are awake. Now what happened to you? You need insulin to digest that for sure. Digest means to carry it to the cells. It is going and giving it to the cell, and the cell is telling, I need to rest. Give me some time to sleep. What is the cell saying? The cell is saying, I need to sleep, I need to rest. Otherwise, I can't function tomorrow. But what you're trying to do? You're trying to force feed the cell. Somehow the cell takes that food and then does what? It accommodates you to some extent. And the more nonsense is there, it says nothing more. Then goes back where? So our liver has become a bank. Our liver has become a bank. Whatever extra calories we had, it's all coming and depositing in the liver. The more we are depositing in the liver, the more you are realizing it's not only depositing at the liver, but also around all the organs of our body. All of you agree with me? This is exact science what I'm talking, nothing beyond anatomy and physiology, rather more of physiology. Now, when the organs start developing some of this fat, it starts increasing or decreasing. Why it increases? Because we never realized it. And we kept on eating the way we want. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to point at some of you who are eating late or sleeping late. Don't mistake me. I'm also doing the same thing like you. Okay? So, what I'm trying to say is, if we try to change today, let's say, can we reverse it? I want a very genuine answer. Ramana, can we reverse it? Yes? What can be reversed among all these organs? Which organ has to be first revived among all this? Now we are doing kidney transplant also, right? So no problem. What about liver transplant? The most difficult thing to do. Lot of rejections for liver transplant. That's why we are not starting actually. At the same time, liver is something which is the most important organ that we need for sure. If there is no liver, you can't survive. If there is one kidney, you can survive, right? If there is half a liver, you can survive. Yes, you can survive. That's the beauty of the organ. So there is a self-healing for the liver. That's the only organ that has got self-healing. And if you help that organ, it is telling, I will heal myself. And if you can heal that liver and remove all the toxins, that means you are going to have good health. I gave you all one very, very important thing in the sermon. I said, if you are going and passing stool, okay, when you're passing stool, it should have three features. What is it? All of them from the medical background. You should not be feeling ashamed for that. It should be soft, okay? It should be soft. What else? It should be coming like a snake. That means when you pass stool, it should come like a snake without any break. If there's a break also, it doesn't matter, but the same thing is falling, right? Now, what happens to our stool? Is your stool speaking something about your health? Go back and think about it. Your stool is speaking something about your health today. I want all of you to know that. If it is not in that pattern, that means there has to be a change of our lifestyle. Now, when I talked the last sermon about which is the second brain? It's not stomach, it is the gutter, which we are treating as a gutter. Right? I am treating my gut as a gutter. That means my gut is my second brain. What is my gut? I have one brain here. I have one more brain in my Now tell me, where is the gut? Is it the stomach? How many intestines we have? Two names. One is small intestine and large intestine. So ultimately, if you look at the heart of the gut is nothing but the colon. What is it? It is the colon. And if you look at our intestines, how much of the microbiota is there in that? There are 100 trillion bacteria in our gut. How many? 100 trillion. Now go back and read what is trillion. That much of bacteria is there in the gut. Now, if you need to have immunity or good health, it is not the brain, it is not the blood, nothing. Your immunity is coming from where? It's coming from the gut. I want all of us to know this. Where is the immunity coming? It's coming from the gut. It's not coming from anywhere else. If you were measuring the bacteria of the past and measure the bacteria today, you'll find there is, among the generations that were there in the past to now, we find there is 30% of good bacteria which is not found today in the generations. That means what? With each good generation, the bacteria is eroding. There's deforestation. What is it called as? We cut trees, right? It's deforestation. And ultimately, what happens when there's deforestation? The heat increases, right? The heat increases, ice melts, and the germs come out. Again, there's a pandemic, right? So, a lot of things happening. Forget about that deforestation. But in your own gut, that is in the intestines, you have got a unique brain. You can you choose your mom? Sushil? You can choose your mom. Can you choose your dad, Jivan? Can anyone of you choose? Priyanka, can you choose your mom and dad? You have no choice to choose mom and dad, right? But you have choice to choose what bacteria has to be there in your bacteria. Am I right? All of us? You don't have a choice. God has made it so beautiful, right? You have a choice to make a choice for that bacteria. And this bacteria which is there in the gut, there are of two types. What are those two types? Yes, there is a good bacteria and there is a bad bacteria. Both are there in the body. Now tell me, what's the composition of it, Ganesh? How much good bacteria is there? How much bad bacteria is there? How much good bacteria you want? How much bad bacteria you want? 30% of bad bacteria, 70% of good bacteria. Just one man. How much you want? Yes? So you have a choice. You have a choice today to make that bacteria which is good. Now, why is this bacteria important for us? The good bacteria is the one that is actually making you take the decisions. The bad bacteria is what is making you take the decisions. So your decision making is not here in this brain. Where is it? It is in your intestines, in the gutter, which is there for all of us. It's actually not gutter, but it is gut. It is in the gut that we have for all of us. And the bacteria is unique to every single person. If I have my fingerprint and go and do this in the visa center, when I go to that country, they verify if my fingerprint is right or not, because nobody else has those fingerprints. Am I right? That is unique for the whole world. It's unique. And now they go into the retina. So what is this? Your bacteria, what you have in your gut, is unique for your own self. You own that bacteria. That bacteria is not found in Priyanka. What Meena is having bacteria will not be there for Sushil. What Sushil is having bacteria may not be having for his son. What's your son's name? Sahil. Sahil is not having the same bacteria. Every single person has a unique bacteria in their body. Let's imagine somebody, some favorite snack. Tell me. Snack. chips. So when we eat chips, right? There is a saying, right, for Lays. You cannot stop with that. That's the one. You cannot stop with one. No Lays, no game. There is one. You can't stop with one, right? So what is happening? You ate one chips, two, three. It has gone into the stomach, right? It got into the intestine. And who's eating the chips? Good bacteria, bad bacteria. And the bad bacteria is doing what? It's releasing. It's very happy. So I told you the sermon. What is the hormone released? It's releasing. What is that? It's releasing a happy hormone, a pleasure hormone. What is it? It is dopamine. What is it? It is dopamine. And then what is happening with the dopamine? The gut communicates to the brain. I want all of you to remember this. There is a link. What are the nerves that are there in the body? Across the body you have nerves, right? Nerves are doing what? They're taking signals back to the brain. Am I right? So the nerves in the intestines at the gut are taking the message to the brain. I ate chips. I release dopamine. Very happy. Pineal gland release the dopamine, right? Where's the pineal gland? In the brain. And then what happens? You start having the pleasure of eating the chips. So you eat 3 chips, 4 chips. What happens? Beyond that, Anita, you take 1 packet, and then second time you take second packet. Then you don't even know you're taking the 3rd packet. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. But ultimately, who's dictating to you? It's not your brain. Who's dictating to you? It is a bad bacteria. That bad bacteria is dictating to you. Right? So, all of us, including myself, all of us are slaves to our gut. What is it? We are slaves to our own gut. In the biblical times, there was Swiggy and Zomato, right? It was there. Elijah got a raven to give food, right? So he called for Swiggy there. Right? So what did he do? He tried to get the food from the raven. And the quality of food is what? Totally different from that time to what we eat today. Now, if you look at the dopamine that is released, you are happy after eating some chips. Again, it releases because you are having pleasure. Right? At that time, I go to Priyanka and say I give her a broccoli. Okay? Which one will you choose, Priyanka? Broccoli or chips? No. Which one we choose? It is chips. Is it because you are deciding? So there was a research done by the scientists. What did they do? They came, they took some rats, okay, the mouse. They took some mouse, they measured the mouse, they removed their taste buds. What did they remove? They removed the taste buds. Before removing the taste buds, the mouse was fed with all kinds of food. It was fed with biryani, it was fed with chips, it was fed with broccoli, it was fed with so many things. Right? It knew what food that was also. Whenever there was something that it liked, it went and ate food. So they went, took the mouse in the scientific lab, and they removed the taste buds for it. And then they made them into 2 groups. What groups were those? They made them into 2 separate groups. And they said, no, let's imagine. So they gave food for the rats or the mouse from morning 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for one mouse. For the other group of mouses, they gave food round the clock. That means they could eat food in the morning, they could eat food in the night, all the time they had given food for it. They observed for almost 6 months. What did they find? What did they just take a guess? What did they find? Which mouse put on weight? Karna, which mouse put on weight? Tell me. Did the mouse that was putting on weight, the one that ate round the clock, or the one that ate only for 12 hours? Huh? But the strangest thing is, Both the mouses were of same weight. What happened? Both the mouse had same weight. Same weight. It didn't change. So they went back and they were puzzled to see what is happening. So they went and took the blood test for both the groups of mouse. There came the huge big difference. What was the difference? The mouse that ate food during the daytime was having lower hormones, which lower levels of liver enzymes, lower levels of anti-inflammatory, the CRP, all those things, all those levels came down. And the liver enzymes of the other groups that ate round the clock had what? Higher levels. Right? So they were quite astonished about this whole thing. Then what did they do? They tried to understand the mechanism now. What did they do? They didn't have the taste buds. It didn't know what food was being eaten. But strangely, what food did they choose? Between broccoli and pizza, what did they choose? They chose pizza over broccoli. They removed the taste buds. They didn't have any taste. But they went and chose what? They chose pizza over broccoli. Why did they choose pizza? Why they didn't choose broccoli? Because that mouse in the past ate pizza, that mouse in the past ate broccoli, but because the bad bacteria is on a higher side in the gut, it was craving for more of bad bacteria. The bad bacteria is craving more of pizza. So all the whites, now let's write down what are the whites from all. All the whites, can I have this AC on? All the whites which are there are what? They are ultra processed. What are they? They are processed. All whites are processed. That means that is what? Let's talk about the 5 whites. Sugar, okay? Highly processed, right? All of you agree? Instead of using sugar, we should use what? Jaggery. Very good. Then what? Salt. Instead of using powdered salt, use rock salt, or rather less salt. Okay. Then other whites. Excellent. Maida. Where is maida found? Do you find it in McDonald's? Do you find it in pakodi? Popcorn? I don't know what popcorn, but whatever those are. So maida is there, used in almost all the eatables that we have. Then? Okay, now there's a contention for that. I'll come back to that. So the whites. Let's. I think we're short of time. Now what are we doing now? We are trying to reduce the carbohydrates. What do we need for a good balanced diet? Carbohydrates first, right? Then proteins. Then carbohydrates, proteins, fat. Okay, what else? Fiber. Fiber is everything. Of course, vitamins, minerals, those all will come. Okay. Now, when you eat food, what does the good bacteria like out of these 4? It likes fiber. What does it like? The good bacteria likes fiber. How much fiber are we eating every day? Is a question all of us need to ask, right? We eat a lot of carbohydrates. Most of us are from South India. Our breakfast, our lunch, everything is on carbohydrate dependent. Now what do we do? Is it bad to eat dosa? No, you can eat dosa, but have egg on that dosa. Now it doesn't mean you eat 5 dosas there like that. And it's bad. So what I meant to say, at that, okay, we'll come to that. A lot of points are there. Okay. So now what do we do? You have to now make your good bacteria better, right? That good bacteria has to be better. So that good bacteria, if it has to be better, how can we make the good bacteria better? By eating? By eating what? Yes? By eating? Fiber. I want all of you to remember this. Not by eating protein, not by eating carbohydrates, not by eating Fat. You're having, your gut loves what? Fiber. Now the more the fiber, what happens to you? More the fiber, more the good bacteria. All of you remember this. Okay, now let's go back to a pizza. What is there in the content for the pizza? You have capsicum, fiber, right? But how much is there? And let's go to a non-veg pizza. Almost nil of vegetables actually. Except for that leaf that in some pizzas they might give down a leaf that is there down that you can eat. So what is happening? You are eating that white, the cheese, right? Cheese is a white. And you're eating that so much. And then what is your gut liking? Your bad bacteria in your gut is doing what? It is liking it. And it is dictating to you. Am I right? All of you agree with me now? Your bad bacteria is dictating your decisions. And choice is the cradle of life. Am I right? All of us? Choice is the cradle of life. And that very choice, Adam and Eve had a choice, right? Adam had a choice whether to eat the fruit or not. He took a wrong choice, the whole humanity was sinning. Bad choice, decision making. One bad decision can count your whole life. And the decision making is done by whom? By you? Is it done by you? Tell me. It's not done by you. It is done by your gut. What is it done? Okay, now for a habit to be formed, the scientists say how much time it takes for a habit to be formed?
20 days.
Who said that 21 days? Excellent, wonderful. For a habit to be formed, it is 7 days to 21 days. 7 days to 21. To form a habit, it takes 7 days to 21 days. Now, if you want to sustain that habit, how long you need to have this? It is 90 days. How many days? 90 days. You decide today, I want to become a vegetarian, right? And if you take a decision, how much time you want to make the decision? It will take 7 days to 21 days. And then to sustain it, how much time it takes? 90 days. That means in 90 days, 3 months, you can make a habit, provided you choose to make the decision today or whichever day you want to make a decision, right? So for you to make a decision to like, your body has to get accustomed to what you're eating, right? In our hostel, we ate in the morning at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. We ate our dinner in the evening at 5:30, 6 o'clock. We ate for only 8 to 9 hours in our hostel. And we know all of us, Israel sir is here, welcome sir. And in Narsapur, I don't remember anybody fat in my class or in my whole place. And they were all very, very slim and trim and healthy. Hardly we had, except for somebody fell down, they went to the hospital for putting some sutures. Otherwise, hardly anything. Once in a while, if you eat something bad, which was stored in our box ultimately, that's why your stomach must have got upset. That's all, maximum. So when we want to make a habit now, what the gut likes, I want all of you to say this. What the gut likes? Fiber. How much fiber we will eat today, from today? You will eat more fiber, right? So before you can have a meal, you can do what? You can have salads. Before having your meal, you can have salads. Before having your meal, if you feel you are going to, what is the satiety hormone? What hormone makes you feel you are hungry? It's called as ghrelin. What is it called? Ghrelin. Ghrelin is released when you have more of fiber. That means it gives you one kind of fullness in your stomach, so you don't want to eat more. What is it? It is called as ghrelin. Now, we need to follow the rhythm, the circadian rhythm. Going back to the first point of what Naveen told. What are we making in the night when we are sleeping? Melatonin. Now, when is melatonin formed in the body? When it is At sunset, we have the melatonin starts getting produced. By what time? At sunset. And at sunset, sunset, when the sun is setting, it becomes dark. That is when melatonin starts getting produced. And when you have more melatonin, when you sleep for more than 8 to how many hours? You're sleeping night, 8 hours of sleep is required, right? That means throughout the night you can make the melatonin. Now, this melatonin that is there in our body is very, very little. Very, very little. It has got linked to most of your females here. It's got linked to your menstrual cycle. It's got linked to your menstrual cycle. And most of the people today, if you see, you are suffering with PCOS or PCOD, either it's syndrome or whatever you call it, disease. So is PCOD a lifestyle problem? It is a lifestyle problem. I want all of us to know. And tomorrow your children will suffer with PCOD. You will also suffer with PCOD. What's the mechanism? What's the cycle of menstrual cycle for what's the cycle period that we have? 28 days. What are the two important hormones for women? Estrogen and progesterone. What does estrogen do? Estrogen is released in the first 10 days of the cycle. If it start the first 10 days of the cycle, estrogen is released. For what? It wants to make a bed for the child. What does it want to do? It wants to make a bed for the child. Endometrium is getting created. So the hormone estrogen is creating a bed in the uterus for the mother. And doing what? It is trying to prepare the uterus for a child. Now ultimately it finds on the 11th day or 12th day that there is a problem. So for 15 days there is estrogen, for 15 days there is, or rather 14 days. 14 days there is estrogen, 14 days there is progesterone. Right? Now when you start having the progesterone in the intermittent stage, that is from the 11th day to 20th day, there is 5 days increased peak of estrogen and 5 days starting of progesterone. Now why am I saying this? When there is estrogen, there is a link with estrogen with a hormone called as, write down, cortisol. What is it? Hormone called as cortisol. Okay? We will come back to that again. Remind me about that. And then in the third phase of a menstrual cycle, what is it? What happens? Progesterone is at its peak, right? And when progesterone is at peak, it starts loving to eat. What happens? The hormone causes you to eat. Ghrelin is released in abundance. What is released? Ghrelin hormone is released in abundance. So you feel like eating more and more and more in those third phase of your menstrual cycle. So women have to be very, very careful, right? And in the first stage, when estrogen is there, now what happens? Why progesterone is there? From the 15th day, you start slowly pulling out the endometrium, right? And then you start having your periods. Now what happens to the person there in PCOD? What happens to the person? That person is suffering with not having periods. A natural phenomena. All of us are from medical background, so don't feel ashamed of what we're talking here. And tomorrow our daughters also might face the same thing. So it's a lesson for all of us. So what happens? The very foundation of the mother nature is not being respected. So if you take back to the circadian rhythm, which is formed with sunset to sunrise, right? If you follow the circadian rhythm, not eating beyond sunset, follow this, and I'm assuring you there is a lot of benefit for the people before it becomes chronic and cancerous. Now, for these people who are there, how is it happening? In the first phase, when estrogen is there, there is cortisol. Now, cortisol is a very, very important thing. Where is cortisol formed? Where is it found? It's found from the adrenal glands, right? Above the kidney. They are like an umbrella there. So what happens? The adrenal is formed along with cortisol for doing what? Flight and fight. So cortisol is something that comes with stress. What does it come? With stress is we are forming what? Cortisol. So what is cortisol doing in the body? It is telling the body, I am coming out. So what happens that time? Either you run or you fight. Right? I had one senior who was always troubling me. Myself and my friend, one day the current got off. We both were so upset. We covered that fellow with the towel and banged him so much. We had a lot of cortisol that time, right? We were fighting. Just an example for all of us. So, flight or fight. That's the hormone that is of cortisol. Now, when you are stressed, you will have more cortisol. Cortisol is the mother of all the hormones. It says, I am the boss, I came. Now nobody should come. So all the hormones they stay inside. They are not released. What happens? All the hormones, what happens to them? They stop getting released from the organs. Which hormone is highest now? Cortisol is highest. So do you have insulin that time? Do you have ghrelin? Everything gets shut down. It's only cortisol. And why? You have stress. You fought with your husband, you fought with your spouse, you fought with your colleague. The moment I see Israel, sir, I am so upset. Right? All those things are signs and symptoms for stress. And without your notice, cortisol is getting released in your body. When it gets released in your body, it is shutting all other hormones. So the quality of hormone, if you measure from the mouse, they found the quality of hormone that is still getting released during stress time is much lower, and it is not helping anybody. The thyroid hormones, all these hormones, the thyroid problem, all these are lifestyle problems. If you reduce your weight, everything is. So how many steps you have to make every day? I'm coming back to what we started off some months back, right? I'm coming back to what is it? There's an acronym called as EAT. What is EAT? EAT is what? One chocolate along with Naveen. If somebody tells me what is EAT, Naveen, what is EAT? Exercise induced activity thermogenesis. What is it? Exercise induced, of course I is silent here. Exercise induced activity thermogenesis. That means what? When you make a step, it is one kind of an exercise. So it is called as what? EAT. That means you are creating some hormones to be released, the good hormones, the happy hormones to be released when you do exercise. That is called EAT. Now there is something that's called as NEAT. What is it? It is NEAT. NEAT means N-E-A-T. N is for non-exercise. What is it? It is called as non-exercise induced activity thermogenesis. EAT and NEAT. So many of us, we may not be even doing the EAT, but at least we have to do the NEAT. So how do we increase the NEAT? To bring in the best hormones and not have stress. One of the biggest things to reduce stress is what? To do exercise. You can do exercise either through EAT or through NEAT. If you can do through EAT, nothing like it. Aerobic, another big exercise. But if you can't do that, at least do NEAT. What is NEAT? At least make one step away. Let's all stand now. At least make one step away from where we are sitting. So the research says if you are sitting for more than 1 hour, which all of you have been sitting actually, is equivalent to what? Smoking 1 packet of cigarettes. Please it all of you. So what have you done, all of you? You have done an activity of NEAT. What have you done? You don't have to do anything. Just walk to the nearest place. Don't keep the water bottle next to you. Keep the water bottle little far away from you during your duty time. Right? And go to the patient as often as you can. Keep walking. No harm. Ultimately, you will make your steps. Research says you don't have to go for a walk, you don't have to go for jogging, you just have to move and don't sit at one place. What does it say? Don't sit at one place. You have to go to Dheeraj Sons. You want to buy groceries? Buy the groceries, carry with you. Of course, it's very few. If it's too many are there, then that's okay. But you can always take it as an exercise. If you are having a bike, don't stop and bike at Dheeraj Sons. Stop the bike at Chowpatty and walk towards Dheeraj Sons. Buy whatever that little thing that you want to buy. Whatever. You have a choice to take steps. Don't take the lift. Use the steps. That is how you can increase your NEAT. And then automatically the quality of your hormones will improve. So what have we learned today? We will do what? We will follow the sunrise and sunset method, right? What are we doing, all of us? Can I see your hands? How many of you eat your food and you'll end your food in the bike before sunset? Now, Narkani will tell me, sir, I am on duty. Last week I went to Delhi and we had only breakfast and dinner. I didn't get time to have my lunch. But what did I do? I carried one kakadi. What is it? You call the cucumber, kakadi. And then before sunset, what I did? We were going in the metro. Everybody was watching me, but still I ate that kakadi. No harm. You are the owner of your body. You don't have to worry about anybody. If not at 6 o'clock, 6:30 you can go have your food. Not 12 o'clock, right? Not 1 o'clock. If not 6:30, by 7 you finish your dinner. Possible? All of us? Now tell me, you have to cook food and do all this. Not required. Because you're not supposed to consume that many calories towards night. You are fasting for how many hours? If you go by this rhythm? Is it 12 hours? Let's say 7 o'clock you are having your dinner. And morning breakfast, 8 o'clock is duty for most of us. I'm talking about the office staff. In case of you, or maybe you are having breakfast at around 7ish, right? So 12 hours of fasting you're doing. So you need food that will have more of fiber. Then you will not feel hungry in the night. And sleep early. Now the most important thing, I'm remembering a point. I'm sorry I'm taking it for extra time. And when does melatonin not form? When you are awake after sunset. When? Awake after? It will tolerate you for some time, but after some time it will not tolerate you. So you can't sleep at 6:30, right? Impossible. Especially with all of our children also, they should be sleeping by 9:30, 9 o'clock. We did that in the hostel. Why not now? Why can't we make our children do that? I can't. I'm not doing it. But I'm just telling to all of us, we should do this. But then what do we do? The moment you start having your diet, 3 hours after only you can sleep. Am I right? If you're sleeping at 9:30, what time you have to eat? 6:30. So if you sleep before, you ate food and you slept immediately, what happens? So don't eat any heavy meal towards night. No non-veg. I'll advise. No non-veg. Go for a simple vegetarian diet with lot of fiber. Agree with me, Sudha? Naveen? Everybody will agree. Whether we agree or not is secondary, but that's the fact of life. We have to eat a lot of fiber in the night so we don't feel hungry for the morning. And if you can do something like this, your problems with sugar will gradually reduce, because you're following the circadian rhythm. Go back and read about circadian rhythm. Everything that I spoke here is I just kept it a simple language for us to understand, but it's all from the physiology textbook what I studied. Right? So simple things, concepts we have forgotten. If we have forgotten, we have forgotten to train our children also, unfortunately. So it's going to be a major difficult problem in the coming days. It's a lesson for all of us. I want all of you to take care of your health because you are the temple of God. Think in your mind, are you treating your body as a temple of God? Let's pray. We will ask Israel sir if you could kindly offer one dedicated prayer for all the staff that they take care of their health at least from today. Come.
Shall we all stand? Gracious God, loving Father, thank you, Lord, for this wonderful privilege and the opportunity that was given to each and every one of us to participate in this wonderful staff meeting with the beloved leader, our Executive Vice President, Dr. Anil sir. Thank you, Lord, for the health tips and the wonderful message you have given to us through your servant. Help us to follow his instructions. Father in heaven, as you say, the body is the temple of God. Let our body to keep without any disturbance, without any harm. Help us to follow the health tips and keep us safe and secure to serve you more and more. At this very moment, O Lord, we submit the entire staff into your hands. Father in heaven, when we are good, we'll do wonderful things. Father, give us prosperity and peace and happiness. Lord, help us to grow day by day. Whatever we are doing, help us to bring account to your precepts, O Lord. We request you to uplift our hospital to the higher heights. We dedicate every staff and faculty into your hands, O Lord. From top to bottom, be with the assistant vice presidents and the managers, supervisors, every in charges who are holding various departments, technicians. We request you to be with each and every one of the worker, Lord. We dedicate and submit each and every one of us in your hand. Give us the commitment to do our duties faithfully and sincerely. Help us to bring glory and honor to your name. We request you to bless our entire hospital, the doctors, and especially the patients, help them to get the good treatment of Lord. We also, Lord, we pray for all our metastatic institutions and the leadership of Dr. Elias, sir, as is caring his units of Lord, please be with your servant. Once again, we submit each and every one of us into your care. Bless us and guide us, according to will. Finally, when the sun comes to the clouds of heaven, may we all have place in the eternal home. I pray these few blessings in the sweet and holy name of our Lord and Savior Jesus. Amen.
Thank you all. Have a nice day, all of you.